How do you see the participants level? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Anusha. First,
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
thank you for accepting our invite and joining us.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And also special thanks to the other two chapters for joining this event. Post accepted to post their chapters. Okay, one from Jammu and other from Bhubaneswar. Okay. Now, as far as the startup grind is concerned, it's an international community based in San Francisco and spread throughout the globe with around somewhere around 3.5 million participants in various capacities as founders, investors, mentors, startups, and directors like us. So 3.2 million people throughout the world is connected with this startup. In fact, last 2 days, there and a hectic schedule of global conference. They were conducting a virtual global conference. Speakers from throughout the world. And it had a good participation also. Then, okay, now let's go to introduction of our speaker to the participants. Ms. Anup Sharma is an management consultant with more than 20 years of experience in various industries.
16, sir. My name is Anuja Bashir.
Anuja Bashir with 20 plus years of experience in multiple industries. Now she is a managing consultant and founder CEO of 2 or 3 companies, and the prominent one being the Quora, and it's an branding company. Multiple. The focus, I think, the primary activity of that firm is branding strategy and marketing. Is it? Am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Marketing, branding, and apart from that, she is a motivational speaker and a trainer, and she is involved with more than 50 plus corporates throughout the country, and also conducting special sessions in multiple places, training sessions and motivation classes to various kind of people like both corporate people, students, startups, and other. So now I think I can leave the floor to my co-director to start with. Sharmila, can you?
Yes.
Proceed?
Yes, very good evening all. I invite, first of all, I want to thank our director, Mr. Bhaskar Karmal, for the warm welcome and speaker introduction. And Anuja, we are really very much eager and curious to hear your presentation and the talk. And I well known from your profile in LinkedIn, like you are such a multi-talented personality. You have experience in so many fields, and we would love to hear you. And at the same time, yes, here some students are there, and yes, students are there, and some startups also will be listening your videos thereafter. And yes, over to you, Anuja. You can proceed now.
Okay. Okay. Good evening to each and everyone, and thank you, Sharmila, and thank you, Bhaskar sir, for inviting me and for giving such a beautiful platform to talk to youngsters. And I personally, though I'm totally involved in corporate management stuff where we are involved in marketing, IT, but training is always a kind of passionate. It comes from heart because chose this topic was that today you are talking about my success, people are celebrating it, so many are getting motivated, inspired. But there was a once upon a time where I was a failed startup because I never knew what was that particular strategy or a procedure that has to be followed. Because like I say today, entrepreneurship was my call. I didn't choose it. It eventually came to me. So At the beginning, I never knew what is happening with this. I was a kind of good professional. Maybe I could relate myself as a good professional, but an entrepreneur, no. So eventually, like the entrepreneurship taught me a lot of stuff. So whenever somebody calls me for a talk or a mentoring process for a startup, I am always happy. In spite of the busy schedules and whatever the meetings, however it is, I try to make it up for the fact that, you know, entrepreneurs are an asset to the society, and mentoring them, coaching them, something is a very essential thing, because it's not an easy task. It is not an easy journey. Everyone out here, this, including Sharmila, knows it. To run a startup or to operate a company is not an easy task. It is, I would say that it is a bed of thorns. So you should be aware of what you are choosing, what is where you are entering in, and you need to be cautious, you need to be careful, because or else your startup will be ending up in a great disaster. So from my experience, whatever I know, I would like to share with you all. Yeah, and let's start. Okay. Now, before I begin, I would like to just give, and though everyone has given an introduction of who I am, I would just take a minute time to just share like what our company is into. I'm the founder and CEO of the company called Oriya. Oriya has got two wings. One is Orient Soul, which is into creative activities like interiors and stuff. Other is our corp wing, where we are into marketing, in which we do branding, strategic marketing, digital marketing, as well as we have an IT wing, which is into web development and IT services, other functionalities, functional IT services. Then we have also got an HR and training wing, wherein we train people for the industry, because since we are doing it, it is kind of like, you know, we actually bring in experts from the industry, and we do train them with these aspects. So that's about a company. I'm also the co-founder of a managed cloud hosting system called Flexi Cloud, where I'm the where I'm the director marketing and the CMO. I'm also the chief operating officer of an IT consulting firm called Digitalize. So that's about me and my companies. Since I have managed to start what is it, as we call, you, run and operate three different startups, which are into three different verticals. From my experience, I would begin to my session on what a startup is. So the content, the index and the content of the today's session would be about, I just gave an introduction of what about me and my startup. Then I would be giving an overview of what a startup is. Then basically you should understand what is the difference of a startup from a traditional business, like what is the difference between an entrepreneur and a business person. Then the challenges that a startup has to face, then the initial preparation or the know-how or awareness you have to have before you start a startup. So these are the topics we'll be covering. Now to begin with, yeah, that was about my companies. Now I'll begin with what a startup is. As all of you all know, startup is a new business with an innovative idea. You should have a concept or a different idea, something which can contribute towards a society or something which can bring in revenue. So that either can be a product or maybe a service. Both these two verticals can help you to make a startup. So as per business schools like Stanford, they define startup as a temporary organization designed to look for a scalable business. Now, how the startup is different from a traditional business. So in case of traditional business, it's not basically it works on an idea. It might be something that is passed on by a family tradition, or maybe people who have already worked upon it. They already know what the pattern is. But startup is quite different because it starts with an experiment, or maybe from the experience which we have got from the people who have already started before us, and it is mainly technologically oriented, and the fund we raise or the revenue we generate, it basically comes from different kind of sources, like, either you can take a investor, you can take a venture capitalist, you can ask your friends, your family, or you can be a bootstrapped startup, like, your own investment. So it's not like it doesn't operate like a traditional business stuff. And as you all know, the traditional business, the scope of this particular traditional business, it has a general pattern. It doesn't have a exponential growth, or but in case of a startup, or maybe it is a constant process. Where it generates this much revenue for this year, and then the next year. But in case of startup, it can take different shapes. It can take what do you call different forms. The ideas can be actually made into some maybe it is a small idea, but later on, when you get into it, you go into detail or depth of it, some other ideas may come up to it, add on to it, and eventually you will get to see a lot of things, and then you will have a stronger and a firmer and a very firm idea of what you are into it. And from there, more and more innovation takes place. So the thing is that it gives you an opportunity of exponential growth. And again, traditional business is basically time constrained and it's strict. But if you see a lot of startups, you can see how eventually they've grown within a year, within months, how they have they have scaled up their business, their growth in terms of revenue and in terms of organizational aspect. And in case of startup, there is no particular rule as such. It depends upon the founder, the co-founder, the team, maybe even the product or the service, or what it is into, the targeted audience. It's quite subjective. So you can't say that somebody followed this thing, okay, you will follow this thing. Nothing like that. You can actually have the essence of everything, and then collecting every stuff, you can actually build something of your own. For example, if you take I'll just tell you an analogy of it. If you take A.R. Rahman's songs, the versatility you find in it, it is because, say, the bass music or everything is that some people just tell that these are copied. No, never. He is just taking the essence of certain things and he's adding his essence or his contribution towards us, which makes the song, which makes A.R. Rahman's songs exceptionally, what do you call, nothing can be compared to it. So that is how, like I said, you can take the essence of people who have started before it, or the vertical or the domain you are into. For example, if it is a marketing company, you can take some kind of guidelines from those companies, but need not that you have to completely blindly follow it. It's like, because your service is different. The idea you have, it's quite different from that of theirs. So only what do you call, the main essence you can take from them. The rest of the things, you have to hunt it, you have to figure it out, you have to go in depth, you have to read journals, blogs, whatever idea, and from wherever you can collect it. The more you collect it, the more you have knowledge over it, and that helps you to build a successful startup. Now, like I said, the challenges, first of all, let me tell you a very important information, that is, if you, it is not that if you have a great idea, you will become a successful startup. It's totally wrong. I started my startup in 2013. Trust me, after a year, it was a total disaster, because I thought that, I was a good professional, I had good ideas, I had very great concept. So I thought, I would boom. But again, what the failure taught me was that the first message which I would like to convey every single person who's eager to know about the details of startup is that if you have a concept, it does not mean that you will succeed. That is a wrong notion. You have a good idea, definitely the possibility or the opportunity to grow up is great. The probability is great, but it doesn't make you completely safe that you will become successful. So the first rule is that. Second rule is network definitely helps you to bring your business up, because you have people, your mentors, your friends, your relatives, your acquaintance, everything will help you. But trust me, 2000 for a while I couldn't I couldn't be there in I mean the system, because I went back abroad, and then when I came back again 2016, I eventually relaunched the same firm. This time I was having a lot of expertise from marketing field, network, and I was sure this time I'm going to do it great because I've got network. The second thing that taught me was that even after having a good network and having a thorough confidence, okay, I can do it, but there were certain aspects which I didn't keep in account. So again, I'm telling you, even having a good network, it definitely helps you for sure. An idea and a good network definitely helps you, but it doesn't mean that if you have both, you're going to succeed. So what is that particular thing which, see, there are a lot of challenges, but I would just like to start up with the point, what I'm going to get in, rather than telling and illustrate, narrating the entire, theoretical part. I would like to go in a structured way so that you can understand what actually we are talking about. So the third thing and the main thing which I understood and which made me successful is that the magic rule, the implementation. How do you implement your idea with the help of your network, with the resources you have, with the teams you have, with your co-founders, with the system you have created? It's all about the total ingredients or the portion or the magic portion which you create with all of us, with the main ingredient called the implementation. So a startup can work only if your implementation, the right time, the right people, the right target. You should have a thorough understanding of all of this, and then you have to shoot. For example, I'll tell you the story of, I can take a quote from Mahabharata, where Drona asked every disciple to actually aim the bird. Okay, so every time he shoots a question that, what do you see? So the answer the disciples give is that I see the sky, I see the big huge tree. Some say that, yeah, I could see the green bird out there. But it was only Arjuna who said that I can see the bird's eye. So that means the focus matters. See, it is not that you just beat around the bush. No, you should be precise and your focus should be very much thorough. The moment you understand that what you are aiming, what you are doing, your implementation would be perfect. So telling all these parts, let's come to in depth and in detail of what I was speaking about. So the usual challenges faced by every startup is finance, because you have an idea. Again, like I said, I was talking about implementation. How do you implement it? Of course, to implement it, you need finance, you need fund, you need people, you need resources, you need marketing. Everything needs basically what is called the money. So where do you bring this money from? Either you can be a bootstrap company where you actually create money for yourself for this particular, you have been working for it, or you have been earning for it to create this thing. You can work like a bootstrap. Mine is a totally bootstrapped company where everything spent on my company was my own revenue that is being generated. Even the money we generate from our system, that is being put into new ventures. That is how we expanded. But we never had an investor. But now when it comes to scaling up, I'm definitely thinking of an investment or a funding, because the thing is that we have grown. So next level is to expand on a very huge platform, we definitely need it. Either you can take this path or you can initially take an investor. That depends upon surely what is your product, what is your service, what actually you're aiming, how strong your financial aspect is. There are a hell lot of factors. Now, the other one is building rapport. That means your network, how you can build your credentials. How can people trust you? How do you connect with a person? Okay, I'm doing this. Would you help me out with this? What about your mentors, the people who can advise you, your acquaintances? There are a lot of factors. So how do you build it? That is a big challenge again. Because the most important thing, from where do you start? So these are some of the challenges which usually a startup face, and then again, already these kind of services may be there before. So how do you have a lot of competitors there. So you have to do a SWOT analysis. Why is that people need to take your product or your service? So again, you have to get a hold in the industry, in the market. Then you create everything, somebody hacks your thing. So your web hosting partner or the people who maintain your website, they should be actually keeping your website secured, so that your information or data, the world is this world is today, in today's world, data or information is very, very important. So, and then the next part, the partnership decision making. See, at a point of time, I realized the importance of having the right partners. To be very honest, today my success, if somebody asks me what are the ingredients or the key strength where I became successful, if asked to me, I would say that definitely it is always my partners, because the support they give me, the right understanding we have with each other. My partners, Vinod Chakwa and Naman Modi, they perfectly handle my IT so well that, I never have a question of anything going lapse in my cybersecurity stuff. My website, it's totally safe. Nothing is going to happen to it, because as long as my IT people are strong, and anything I demand on a digital stuff, they are ready. They are ready with it. I just need to give a concept. I am very good with I am good in the sense, people say that I'm very good with my marketing skills or my conceptualization skills or my ideation skills or my creative skills. So the thing which I lacked was that IT support. Today, my people give that strong support, the right partnership or the right team. When it blended, everything everything fall in the right place. So I would say that when you have the right team, the confidence or the strength the startup has is too immense, and the power generating out of it is also very high. Then the resources, like I say, the strength of me is my pack or my team, and the strength of my pack is me. That is a blend which I have with my employees or my HR. If they had not been there, trust me, I would not have been taken this much, because it is all about team. Together, everyone achieves more. So that means if one person is not contributing towards the system of what they're supposed to do, if it is not coming in the right way, you fail. So I had employees before, everyone were good, but the thing is that the contribution, what they can do, or the skill or the talent they have, how much they contribute towards the system, that actually matters. So your employees or the people who you work with, your team actually matters a lot. So this is a big challenge which every startup has to face when they look upon to create the right team. Now, the biggest thing, the extensive competition, because already you have people, the key players, the game players in the market. How do you cross them? That's not a easy task. Trust me, you have to toil day and night to figure it out, what makes your product or service different, innovative. Why should people choose you? Why should they come to you? That particular question, why? There is no what. In an entrepreneur's life, never comes a what. It's always why. You have an answer for a why. That particular problem is your solution. We are problem solvers. So and actually there should be a problem. Because whenever there is a problem, an entrepreneur is created, because an innovation is created through him. Once an innovation is made, eventually an entrepreneur is created. So but these are the challenges you have to face. Once you identify these challenges, figure it out, okay, these are the challenges I have to face, go for it, find out a solution for it, then you are going to create a very, very strong startup. Now, next I'll be speaking about is the necessity and the checklist. So those are the we were talking about. Now we were see, we initially defined how a startup is different from a traditional business. So you have an understanding of exactly how a startup works, different from a traditional business. Then we were speaking about the challenges a budding entrepreneur has to face. Now we will be talking about how are we going to create a startup, like basic stuffs we need to we need to figure it out while planning to create a startup. So the first thing what we have to have is an ideation. I mean, idea, a concept. Now, is it, like I said, having a concept doesn't work. So now you have to create a thorough business plan for this. How does your business go? How does this business of yours is going to work with the idea you have conceived, with the idea you have created? How do you put it in paper? How do you make a draft out of it, document it out of it, then figure it out what are the requirements you require, then what are the other aspects, infrastructure aspect, financial aspect, then the HR, the team, who are the teams, who should be the co-founder, who should be the chief technical officer, who should be the marketing person. You have to define all these roles of the people in your team and how each people are contributing towards a system. So there are a lot of aspects which you have to have a complete, thorough, structured system before you actually get into a startup. So you have to work on this first, make a structured map, and then you start. Then your probability of getting failure will be very, very less. I didn't do it, so I failed twice. But the third time, my do nots taught me, okay, I should not do it. So the third time I understood that was my last lifeline. So like I said, I had no choice other than being a successful. So every time we are climbing again and again new ladders, okay, every obstacle come, I just tell my team, no worries, it's okay, let the obstacle come, because that adds a new innovation to the system. Now, like I said, the first thing we have to have an idea of how our idea can be turned into business. Because an entrepreneurship, if you define entrepreneurship, any idea that turns to a revenue generation is basically called entrepreneurship stuff. So now how do we convert that into business? Next, who are your targeted audience? What is your niche market? Where exactly you're going to pitch it? Who exactly are your audience? Which age group they belong to? Are you looking for an edtech education thing? Are you looking for a marketing product? Are you looking for an IT product? So you have to have a thorough idea of what this product is and how it is going to give a solution to the people who you are going to pitch, the targeted audience. Now, then you have to start planning. Again, with planning, it comes marketing, branding, pitching the service, positioning your thing, a financial building it setup, and an n number of things that comes along with it. Okay, now the first step, like I said, the first aspect, the planning aspect, you have to generate a business plan, and you have to register your company. So for that, you have to name your business. You have to give a name for it. And again, people don't understand. Some people give a name to it. Later on, you can't change it because your company is already registered in that name. So you have to, and even when you take a domain, when you take a website, everything, there might be other company in that name. So you have to compromise on these stuff. So you have to think of an n number of aspects even while you make a name. It should be catchy. It should attract people. it should have a message of what exactly you are into. So there are a lot of things which should be kept in consideration while you choose the name of your business. Then find your supplies. Estimate how much would be your startup cost, how much you have to initially invest it. Can you make it? If you cannot make it, from where do you get it? There are either you can go for, like I said, you can go for friends, you can go for families, you can go for your investors, angel investors. There are people who will invest on you if your idea, you can go, they create a pitching platform for you. There are areas, there are government agencies, there are different type of platforms where angel investors come in. If they find that your idea is suitable, good, worthwhile, if implemented, will become productive, the angel investors invest on you. There are venture capitalists who are ready to do it if your idea is strong and if they feel that implementation wise this would become a success. Again, like I said, the catchy word, implementation. Everything matters on that implementation stuff. So now if you have a product, what will be the manufacturing cost? The initial startup cost is for the infrastructure, to build an office, to pay your employees, to build the basic services, a website, a lot of accessories along with it, the branding, the marketing. These are the estimated costs. Now, how do you make the money for them? If it is a product, the manufacturing cost. Even if it is a service, there are a number of stuffs you have to look upon. How you place the service into the market, how you position it, how you track, how do you track it once you get your people, how does the transaction takes place? Again, an number of steps. So planning, you have to plan, make a thorough plan where you understand where exactly you are going to. And one more thing, when you make a plan, you know what is happening. You come back, while you implement these stuff, you come back, you have a checklist. You're understanding, are you going on a right path? Because your path is being measured or being tracked. Like I said, I didn't do it initially. I thought an idea is enough. Okay, fine. Good network, go ask people, everything will be fine. No, nobody's going to buy your stuff, even your friends, family. No, it's never going to happen unless the product or the service you create is worthwhile. It is innovative. Fine, people are interested in it, attracted by it. Okay, so the first thing, planning is done. Yeah. Now, in planning itself, again, you have to find the niche market, your competitors. So when you do the competitive analysis, what happens is that, you will do a SWOT analysis. I suppose you all know SWOT analysis means strength, weakness, opportunity, threat. So basically you understand what are the strengths of your competitor. So then see, we have our own strength that we'll analyze it first. Then we go for the competitor strength. So whatever we can implement or we can take from them, that is added on, we become more strong. Now, the important part is that we have to analyze our weakness, not their weakness. Their weakness is good if you analyze, you know why? If they have that weakness, we have an opportunity there. That opportunity, we make it as a threat to them. Again, we come into the market. Then the niche market is ours. So that means you have to do a SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is very important. Again, doing the SWOT analysis, again, you have to set your goal, not a dream. See, dreams are good. Dreams are good. The aspirations are good. The hopes are good. But reality, again, implementation. Is it possible? So anything that can be possible in reality to make your home, see, a startup can be successful when the reality and the dreams come to a balanced state. You should have dreams, you should have aspirations, you should be ambitious. Otherwise, you cannot climb the ladder. But again, once a balance of the reality comes with the dreams, these two blend, the perfect startup is created. And the fact is that there is a never an ideal thing called perfection. There is no perfect startup, but a likely to be, near to be a perfect startup. That's what we call. That's how people. And there is no thumb rule that, even if you fail, it doesn't mean that the same business plan which you have created. See, for example, my company, the same business plan, third time it worked, but again I had to reiterate it again and again to find it out where I lost, what did I lack. The do nots, the do nots, what I understood, which should not be repeated again. So the business plan will work, but you should not lose hope. You should actually work on it. You should, like Dr. APJ said, dream is not that what you see in your sleep. It is what you, it is what for you, you actually live for it. You eat it, drink it, live it, and you work for it so much that, it comes to you. I'm a very great fan of Paulo Coelho. Trust me, I reach where I reach because I believe that, you have an intense crave, the entire universe conspires you to get it. Trust me, my dream was so strong, so intense. Twice I failed. My financial loss was more than 50 lakh rupees. 2 times. Even you have to understand that mine was a bootstrap company, no investment. But I figured it out. How do I do it? Strategize it. That is the reason why this particular skill of mine, that was actually a problem. You know what? I converted my problem into a solution where today I'm known as a strategist, a strategic consultant. People come to me to find out strategies. My flaw was converted into my power, and that made me a strong startup. So, like I said, whatever your flaw, work on it, get it done. And again, you have to have a pricing. If yours is a service or a product, you actually should have an idea of how much you're going to sell it, because you will be incurring a cost to make it. So you have to understand the profit thing. You think that, okay, this will work, everything is done, okay, last minute I'll go for a put a price, okay, X this thing. No, it doesn't work like that. This I've done it before, but the first time I did it, that actually created me a big loss. So today, any venture I step in, I figure it out, everything, including the end product. Even I perceive what is the worst case, so that even the worst case comes, we are prepared to face it. Okay. The first thing is over. We have created here when I've spoken, I told you about the business plan. Here we are creating an infrastructure. We are understanding who our targets are, who our competitors are. We are actually creating a structure. The business plan is initially the structure. We have created everything. The thing is there. Now we have registered a company. I forgot to mention one more thing. The company can be registered as a sole proprietor. It can be taken for you can go for a partnership company, 2 people. And the third thing is basically you can go for a private limited company, or you can go for an LLC, limited liability company. So these are the 4 ways by which a startup can be registered. Okay, and then once the registration is done, you have your infrastructure. You figure it off. Maybe you can take an incubation under somebody. You can take an incubation thing, or you can actually go for an office. Just get a building, anything, a room, whatever. So now we have the infrastructure. So now what do we do with this? We have created this thing. Now we have to make this particular thing reach to our people. Okay, then only people come to know. Nobody will come to us asking, oh, you created this, I want to buy it. No, it doesn't work like that. It is a reverse. You have to find where the people are. You have to figure it out to your targeted audience and then target them. Like I said, the eye, hit the eye. Because if you target the eye only, the bow will go, it'll hit. The probability of getting hit is more. It is not that again, one more thing is that need not that it'll hit, but at least somewhere it'll go. So okay, the next thing is basically we have to create the brand. So first we created the infrastructure. Now, what is the difference between a product and a brand? A product is something which actually has everything is same but brand has got a unique identification. If you take Apple or Samsung, any brand, we don't sell it. Actually, the brand sells. So we have to create the product in such a way that people notices this. Your visibility becomes high when you create it as a brand. A brand is not created only because you throw a lot of money on it. No, it is your creative part, your lot of aspects are there. So the starting of branding would be like, you are displaying your company with a logo. The first is the logo part. again, you create a color palette for you. If you can check, if you check my website or if you check my logo, you'll understand the color which we have chosen. A color palette is black and golden, because I consider mine is a corporate management consultancy, and we want everything to be classy. And for me, black and golden is a perfect combination of classy. So that is how I have chosen it. Now, create a tagline. You should have a tagline of a company, or for the company for which you are putting. I mean, what it is, the message you're conveying of what we are doing. I had a lot of confusion because my vertical were like different. In my business plan, I was initially pitching with marketing, IT, HR, and training. What is the tagline which I would use? After so much of refining, I found that what is it? Designing your reality, designing your vision into reality. You know, any vertical I take, that tagline goes with everything, because anybody has a vision. I am converting that into reality, be it HR, be it IT, be it marketing, be it anything. So that is a tag. You have to use an app tagline where your business, where what you do is being conveyed. Then you should create business collateral. So this is a brand identity we create. The first one is a brand identity. In brand identity, you have to do a bit of research of how you create a brand. You should have a brand strategy. You should have a brand concept, brand identity, where you create a logo, color palette, tagline, typography, the way in which you write it, everything matters. So your brand identity is done. Then you go for brand collaterals, where you create business cards, letter pads, what is that? Envelopes, merchandise, everything comes under which represents your, whenever you go somewhere, your identity along with your brand is being displayed through these business collaterals or the brand collaterals. Now you create all these branding collaterals. You create something, collaterals, through which people know you. Okay, you are connected to this company. This is your company. Then you go for the marketing stuff. And again, I forgot to mention, in branding itself, you should have a website. After the branding collaterals is done, the website also comes under branding. You create a website so that your brand visibility, of what you do, because people, it's all digital now, so people should know what you're doing. You have to the content marketing, everything is very important. The content what you write is a big deal, because that is how the people understand that, okay, this is the thing you are actually doing. Now, in that, you basically buy a domain. The first thing what you have to do is you have to buy a domain name. Sometimes the domain in which the name you have for the company, that domain might be bought by somebody else. So you have to add a suffix or a prefix and figure it and buy a domain name, create your website. Then along with it, you create your business email accounts. Then when you create your social media accounts on different platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, these are the major verticals. Other than that, you can create in Quora. There are different platforms, Reddit, so many stuffs. Then you have to create an email signature, because email is something by which, that's a professional transaction happening between company or its clients, vendors, anybody. So again, you should have a mailing structure, an email signature. Then you should have from the business cards we have made in the branding, that's been done. Then with whatever things we have, we actually market it, we position it, we actually we do campaigns, we do digital marketing campaigns, we do even live event campaigns, where people, the attention of people get back to us, and people know that these are people who do these kind of services. So whenever they come, there is a service they want to do, or their friends want to do, or their acquaintance want to do, any inquiry come with, they revert it to us, they divert it to us, and you get a lead generation. So it's basically a funnel in which, the lead generation comes to a funnel. Basically, the visitors you convert them into customers, the customers where you give awareness to them. From awareness, actually, you make a sale pitch out there, then you close the sale pitch. And then once the sale pitch is closed, the funnel becomes small, and finally your visitor becomes your client. And once your client becomes once your visitor becomes your client, the client will give you a testimony, and he brings more and more clients. So This is how marketing helps it. So I've talked about business plan, infrastructure plan. Then I talked about branding, creating the branding. Then I talked about marketing. With what you have, get into marketing thing and get people's attention. Make your brand sell, your product sell, your service sell, so that you generate more revenue. Now it doesn't end here. Like I said, second thing, when I launched my startup for the second time, I had all these things which I was been narrating to you. But this part, the financial part, I never checked up, because I was according to the way I was raised, we never knew money is like, something which has to be structured. So there I went totally in a chaotic disaster situation, where I didn't manage my money well. Today, I learned it, where I understood that even a company cannot handle, the people cannot handle it. You have to have an accountant for it. You should have a legal, you should have a chartered accountant for it to file your ITR, to know that what are the laws and related stuffs with it, so that you don't violate it. Again, ignorance of law is also a big thing. At one day you make a lot of money and finally you didn't follow the law, the government will sue you, and everything is lost. Fines and fines and fines. So very financial structure is very important. A legal aspect is very important, and also you should have a legal consultant, because there are certain things, even in case of your vendors. See, I'm talking about a entire stuff. Okay, it is not an initial thing which a startup should do. I'm just expanding. Tomorrow you will grow, right? So you should have an awareness of this. That is the reason why I'm discussing all these parts. So as you grow, initially I had an accountant, then I got a CA. Today my company, I even have a legal consultant, because it is very important, because I deal with vendors who might not pay me. There might be legal clauses. So we can't get involved with this, because every day the technical team is creating stuffs. So we have to give responsibility and rules to people, so that they do their task perfectly. Together, when everybody does everything, we get a perfect system. Or sorry, we get a nearly perfect system. Yeah, and then again, these product and services is again along with the marketing stuff, before the marketing stuff. So, after the branding stuff, we create the product and services, where we have to, these all comes under the infrastructure, get the products. If you're making a product, this is only for product, okay? If it is a service, already we know where the target audience is. But when it comes to a product, you have to create a sample product. You have to make sure that it does not, if there you require any kind of legal, sanction of an authority and stuff, you have to find your suppliers. There are a lot of other procedures when it comes to a product. So I've just added the product part. Yeah. Again, I've not put in a slide. I would just like to mention that in marketing itself, once we do all this marketing with the collaterals, there is a very important part in today's era, which is called the digital marketing, where you have to do a lot of stuff, where the first thing starts with the social media marketing. As all of you are aware, we know the platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram is a happening thing these days. So you have to create an account, you have to put posts there, you have to put relevant content out there, you have to do content marketing, you have to do email marketing. Other than that, you have to create your SEO, because the Google actually crawls it. The SEO, the search engine actually should read what exact, so that somebody checks you, Google gives a review of it. Your credentials actually. So your chances of getting your things in market, in your niche market, is the SEO. All these digital marketing stuffs actually help you. Yeah, and then I think I've covered almost everything. So this is something which the entire ingredients that you should check upon. And then again, one more thing, when we are talking about the finance thing, you also have to have a bank account. you should have an internet access, because you should, maybe you have an abroad client where you have to go for a PayPal, Razorpay, because so accounts work in different procedures. So you should know net banking, digital banking, all these stuff. So you need a perfect IT person to handle all these stuff. So collaborating everything, knowing everything, after knowing everything of what we have spoke right now, implementing it in the right pace with your idea, with all the awareness you have gathered. And again, not only with this awareness, I've not talked about any detail about the product or the service, because that is not again my product. It is your product or your service. You have to dig it up. You have to figure it out. Every potential possibilities of the particular product of a service, expanding, growing, and making it a mark in the industry. Yes, I'm done. I actually didn't check the time. Okay, I'm very sorry, because when I take an interactive session, I don't look for time.
Ma'am, actually, I have a question. Like, what are
Yeah,
the
sure. Please shoot.
required for registering a startup?
I can't hear you. Can you just?
Yes, ma'am. What are the legal factors required for registering a startup?
What are the legal factors?
Yes, ma'am.
Legal factors for that I said now, you can register the startup either as a sole proprietor if you are going as a single person, or if you have two people, you go. See, there are companies which actually help you for this process. Like a legal consultancy or a legal firm, or maybe there are people like that who actually get you in a structured manner. Basically what you do is you actually register either in form of these four formats what I've said. Ours is a private limited company, because when you register as a private limited company, you can do a lot of business or ventures under that particular name. But again, there are some taxes and fine and other payable things which you have to pay when it comes to private limited company. In case of a partnership and the sole proprietor, there are no much rigid laws.
I can't understand.
Hello. Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
So your question is that how do you register, right? Who asked that question? May I know? Hello? Sharmila, you are...
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, Sujay Shank has asked the question.
Okay, Sujay, your question was, from my understanding, what I've understood is that you want to register a company. What are the legal steps? That's what you asked, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Again, sweetheart, I'm not a legal consultant. I'm a startup company. So that is what I said. You have to approach a legal consulting firm which actually does it. But on a periphery, what you have to do is you can register your company. That's what I said. As a startup, what we do is we can actually register as a proprietor. That means a sole proprietor. Only one person doing that startup, or two people collaborating it and doing it up. That's called a partnership company. Then again, there is a third format called LLC, limited liability company, or another one called private limited company. These are the four aspects in which you can register your startup.
Okay.
What they do is that, once you register it, you get an incorporation certificate, you get a DIN, that means director's number and SIN. The company's in that, these are numbers by which it is actually for you, so that a unique number for you in which your startup or your director ID is known.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Sushant,
Sushant, is your doubt cleared?
Yeah, so Jai Shank.
Sujay Shank, is your doubt cleared?
Yes, ma'am, my doubt is cleared. Yes, ma'am. Thank you,
Yeah,
ma'am.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. So my name is Shivam Modi, and I have posted 2 questions in the chat box. If you could answer that. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Shivam Modi. Actually, Anuja, he has asked question like,
My terms of credit for supply of goods is 30 days,
that's it.
but the debitors are outstanding for more than a year. How should? Okay, so you are a startup. You already have. You are a startup company. I mean,
Yes, ma'am, but not actually a unique, not startup exactly. I'm working in a like an established industry like sanitary hardware. So in that way.
hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, Shiva. So you are a budding startup, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. So you basically have. I think you have a product, right?
Yes, sanitary hardware.
Okay, sanitary hardware. So my terms of credit is supply for goods is 30 days. That means you will get 30 days upfront. You will get the product, and after 30 days you have to pay them, right?
No, I'm asking that I have supplied goods and my terms of credit are 30 days. But the
Okay.
debtors are outstanding. My debtors are outstanding like
For
more than a
more
year. Yeah.
payment terms.
Yeah.
That is again, that is again a challenge, Shivam. I myself am facing. I am having even legal war with people. There are people who have not paid me more than a year. Same thing with me, dude. But those point, we, like I said, we have to have a legal consultant where they're in. That's a typical legal problem, because what else we can do? Unless we go for a court, we just tell you, do you have a you have a terms and conditions now? You have a
Yes, ma'am.
yeah.
But if we adopt the legal procedures, but at that point, the
Yeah,
litigation costs are even higher than suppose a party is
I
outstanding.
got it. I
Yeah.
got it. True. So I totally understand that, because when you go for this court kachari and all, the amount you incur in that is much more than what you have to get. So, like you said, many people actually don't go for it. Other than that, wait for these people to,
So I'm basically follow up is the proper, I guess.
yeah, follow up. And follow up, it's not only follow up. It is like, you should actually tell them that, yeah, there are other ways, like, you make them understand that if they do it, the credibility of their venture will actually go very down. And see, maybe a single time they don't pay it, what they're doing is that they are losing your trust. So next time they ask you, they won't pay it. I mean, you won't give them. So it is always better, if it in the 30 days, if they can't pay, they just tell you the reason, and they make sure that they pay it at least within a month of 45 days. So you give them a small flexibility, but sometimes 30 days might not happen, because there are a lot of other difficulties in, like I said, no implementation part. So what you can do is that you can actually talk to your vendors, and you just can tell them that, you can give a small flexibility, but you will give it only for once. If 45 days they don't pay it up, the next time you won't do it, and then you just ask them, and maybe you can just actually tell them you will go for a legal notice or something, which
Okay.
I'm not telling you should do it, but definitely
No.
you can
Yeah.
actually put them in a situation where then, and definitely you can actually, again, social media is a big thing, Shivam. You can actually access, you can actually tag them, you can actually tell them that, I've not got the payment. You can actually you can tell them, so via because everything is digital, you definitely can hamper their reputation, which actually is essential for them. You got my point, because
But the last point which you mentioned, I
Hmm.
guess it is not right for the long run. Like I'm discouraging my own relation with the vendor.
See, that is true, but Shivam, the problem is that that's the life of an entrepreneur. You have to take sometimes a risk, but it is a
Yeah, tough
calculated
call.
risk. Again, the thing is that, like again, I said, no, you should be flexible with your what do you call, the vendor for some time. But what will you do if they don't pay it at all? Again, it is a loss for you, right? And one more thing, if you encourage the system, tomorrow other vendor will do the same thing to you. So how can you run your business without
Yeah, so
money?
what did I, sometimes 1 or 2 tough calls are necessary. Yeah,
Exactly.
to set a
That's the point.
benchmark, to set a benchmark.
Exactly. That's the
Yeah.
point.
Okay.
One
Got it.
sometimes
Got it.
even see, it is not only with the vendors, Shivam. Sometimes with everything, a tough call is see, emotionally or personally. Sometimes a leader or a founder or a CXO or the company's management, they might have to take a tough call because of the reason that that is required for an industry. Sometimes decisions you cannot take it personal. Maybe you might not totally agree with it, but a decision should be taken because that is how the system runs. Nothing is beyond the system. System takes a call. So if the system demands for a tough call, no choice, you have to go for it.
Okay. Understood, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shiva.
Shivam and Anuja, there's another question from Naveen and Vivin. So from Naveen, the question is how to find the co-founder.
How is the
Find the co-founder for his organization.
Okay. So Navin, your question is, what are the books you should read to, is that so? Something like that, right? What is it?
It was very lengthy, so I made it easier for you.
Yeah. So from what I have understood is that he's asking me for the referral books, which he has to go through while developing his startup. Is it Naveen?
Traveling through, yes, ma'am, while traveling through my startup journey, I want to know some referral books that you may refer and find a co-founder.
There are 100 books, Naveen. If you ask me, personally speaking, I have not read any book. Because there is no particular book which tells you that this is the right book. There is no right book. See, the book you
have learned through your experience, ma'am.
Exactly. See, what the book gives you is that the book is talking about the experience of the writer, of the founder, or the creator who has made that startup, or the struggles he went through. I would just say that you can refer one of my friends' book recently written, Deepak Malhotra's, The Dark Sides of an Entrepreneurship. It is one of the good books. Which I found very interesting because it's something a reality book. So I think you can read that also, and you can read books on people, like you can read every successful person, and you have to read books of people who have failed to somebody who might have failed, who might have. It's not that you read all successful books. See, like I said, we only see successful things. We have to go through both, because every failure is actually a stepping stone. So those failures and the do nots are very important. So actually you can Google it and see, what are the books which can, especially for your venture or your product or your service. It's subjective, Naveen. You can't say that this book is good or this book. And again, the reader's taste, that also is different. So you can't actually specify this book, because I know many of my friends have written so many books. So I can't actually tell, okay, this book is good and that book is good. I myself am going to write another book called Hope, Hold On, Pain Ends. It's also again a book on my startup. So yeah, definitely read my book once it's launched. I mean, I'll just send you a copy of it.
Thank you. And only one question, how you have found your co-founders?
Great question, Navin. I really like. I appreciate that wonderful. I mean, that wonderful question you have shooted.
Thank you.
That is a very important thing which you should keep in mind while you figure out your co-founders. So the first two systems, the first two times when I went for a startup, I had two partners. No, I had one partner for my initial, from when I started it for the first time. Second time also, I had another partner. See, the thing is that what I have understood, while traveling through my journey, see, when you actually when you actually blend with your co-founder or your partners, you have to understand them. The bonding or the understanding with them should be very, very high. The benefit people reap out of it should be mutual. It's not that, they exploit from us or we exploit from them. It should be like a mutual thing. It should be like together for the system. So when I had the first time and the second time, what happened was that it was kind of, both of them had their own selfish agendas. And it was never a mutual process. And the call should be from everybody. And again, the thing is that the technical part, you should understand that you have a skill. So you should not go for another partner who has your same skill. You will be having a flaw, or you will be having a kind of things which you don't know. For example, I am not well versed with IT at all. I'm a creative person. I'm the creative director of my company. I handle all the branding, marketing, HR training, everything. But IT, I learned it from my co-partners because they are experts in that. So I figured it out. I need an IT person. Early in my ventures, I had people. The first person was kind of a marketing person. Second person was kind of implementation part. That particular person was a kind of a disaster. Only his dreams were very high. So I think you have to find people who are realistic. That means who have ideas, who has good common sense, and who talk things which are kind of, you can relate to, or something that is reality. Implementation wise, this is possible. And the third thing is that your skills and their skills should blend. Like, what do you call? Complementary. If you are good at something, they should be good at something. Because if you both are good at something and you both are bad at something, who will take up the bad part? So if you are a marketing person, you should go for a co-founder who's a finance person, or who's a who's a technical person. I mean, who's well versed in an IT sector. So in my case, I have my IT partners who can handle. See, even if you want, you can go for a finance part, but finance and all, it can be handled. It's always good in a system. You should have a person who's totally into marketing, who's a person who can completely do the operations, and the third part is a technical person. The main people in a system is always a CEO, COO, Chief Executive Officer, Chief Operating Officer, and Chief Technical Officer. If these three people are there, anything most of the things can be resolved. So I would think that you have to figure it out on a technical aspect, then on a mental bond, and on an understanding with them. I think then they should be good people also. So if everything comes up, you would find the perfect co-partners.
Thank you for the wonderful explanation. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anuja. One more question. I think already we are running out of time, and still the questions are coming. So can you answer Vivin's question, Anuja?
At what point of time we should approach our investor or VCs? When we are still in ideation part? Okay. That was a good question, Viv. Viv, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, Viv, according to me, personally speaking, I believe that, see, once you expand, it's always good you go for the angel investors. That is my personal view, okay? I believe that because, initially when you come to the angel investors, the thing is that if unless you figure it out that you are totally entering the success part, you are actually getting into liability. If you are doing it of your own, at least that part is safe, a calculated risk. You should enter into a calculated risk only once you are actually in a safe zone. So I would prefer.
But my question is, okay, I'm still in ideation phase, but I don't have enough money to even build my product. At that point, what should I do?
Then your idea or your product should be very strong in that case.
Oh.
Hello?
Okay.
Yeah. I got your point.
Yeah.
Since you are building a product, you can bring in investors or venture capitalists. That is not a problem at all. There are so many people who and so many platforms where you can pitch it. But like I said, you should have a very strong idea or a concept in ideation stage. When you pitch it, the venture capital should have an understanding. See, what they look is that they see that this particular product should have a lot of challenges to get into the market. Understood? If it is an easy product to get into the market, they won't
Yeah.
pitch for you. I mean, they won't invest. Every
Yeah.
investor or a venture capitalist look that there should be a challenge for the entrepreneur to get inside the market. If he can do it, or if he can convince the investor, your task is easy. So definitely, if you have that much idea of all these stuffs, then you should. There is no harm in going for a investor or a venture capitalist. I hope we are clear with my answer.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Viv. Yeah. Anything
Thank you,
else?
Anuja. There are 2 more questions, and the participants, we are closing the questions thereafter. 2 more questions, Anuja. How to approach
high value dealers? What is this high value dealers? The question is kind of.
I don't know what she really meant.
Yeah. Okay.
And there is no name also.
That was my question.
Yes. Can you please explain? Can you please explain and introduce your name too?
Yeah, actually, I had a product and I was dealing with small business persons. So they were really interested in my product.
Okay, you're talking about
and
HNI.
I shifted to them. But
HNIs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're talking about the high network. So high network, LinkedIn is one platform where which you can build a good profile. You can talk to people. You can expand your network. See, you can't approach the HNI all of a sudden. You have to build your profile slowly in such a way that you can access a few of people who are having a good network. Those network people who have an HNI network. Understood? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you have to do is that you should build a good profile, good professional profile, and then LinkedIn will help you for this to a certain extent. And then it is all upon you, how you pitch it, how you talk, how good are you at convincing. Definitely, you can get into the HNI.
Okay.
So
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, welcome.
Yes, and participants, we are closing the question. Only one question from Catherine Felicia. So that is the final question. That will be the final question. Yes, Anuja, can you?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, she has asked some.
Sell a particular brand, Geo from Westside or all brand. How do I approach them for supplies? Catherine, what exactly you meant by I want to sell a particular brand? How do I approach them for supplies?
Anuja, yes. Yes,
like a multi-brand store.
Okay.
Only on the plus size kind of things.
Okay.
Each brand has their own things. Like in Westside, they have Gia and a little larger and different things. Like a multi-brand store, if I have in my place, how can I approach them for the supplies?
Actually, you have a platform in which you have a store actually. That is what I understand.
No, I'm planning for it. I have an idea of doing it.
Okay, fine. You are thinking of having a store where you build different. You keep different products, different brands.
Yes,
right?
she has planned for.
You are asking me how do you approach these? So what you have to do is you have to actually have a great study on every brands. Okay, you have to actually understand who are the right now suppliers. What is it? Stores to where these people supply it. Okay, so you have to understand. You have to have a thorough idea of why exactly these people or the brands choose these people as a suppliers or franchisees. Okay.
It is actually their brand, ma'am. That's why I'm asking.
That's what I said. It's their brand. Fine. See, the thing is that your question is that how do you approach them, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is what that is what I'm telling you. You have to understand that if, for example, Westside, they might have different outlets, right? So they might have people who have kept different stores. So you have to understand. You have to have a proper study of these stores. How did they get to it? Understood? What was their USPs? Why is the reason why the Westside chose them? Okay. And then you have to have a detailed study on if the brand is Westside, you're going to put it in your store. Then you have to have an understanding of what Westside is looking for the store people. Got it? So blending that two parts, that means what is the supplier looking for and what is the outlet, what are the requirements of the outlet. When you blend these two particular necessities, you will have a thorough structure. Once that structure is known, approach these particular people and then tell them that, okay, I have these much qualities to be to get your store, because I can do this stuff. Impress them. Rest fall in place.
Actually, my question is how to approach them, like via email, or I have to call.
You can definitely, LinkedIn is again yet another platform, a big platform where actually you try to connect them. Or there is another way. If you can't connect them directly, what you have to do is that you can find it out who are the common people between, who are the common connectors, your friends or your people, whoever have a connect to that. Okay, like the connect. It goes on. The network, actually you have to build it up. So LinkedIn is one thing where you can actually ask them these questions, or maybe you can start from employees of website, or maybe not the direct operation head or something. You can start from them. You can see the information is important, Catherine. You have to gather information as such. Nothing is an easy task. One fine day you go to a website and you ask them, I want to start a store, and can you give me your brands? Do you think a brand will give you that? No.
Definitely not.
So you have to do a lot of exercise for it. You have to understand, like I said, you are asking me how to approach. Before that, when you do a thorough study about them, that itself give you a solution to it, how to approach.
Okay,
So LinkedIn is again, according to me, LinkedIn is again a platform. There you will find their email address. Before that, I would suggest, according to me, I'm a strategist. According to me, my strategy would be, if I was you, if I were you, what I would do is, I would figure it out, the employees of those places, I would have more information from that place. Then step by step, I will get to the operation manager. Then I'll talk to him, I'll figure it out the email. See, it need not that, you go to the direct higher authority, you send a mail, they might not turn up. So you have to actually have a very strong network build. Once the network is strong, it itself does the work. You don't need to do much. Then the rest of the thing is, you just need to convince them.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, LinkedIn is a very good platform.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Anuja. Thank you so much. And the other participants, Anuja, can you please drop your mail ID in the chat box? That would be helpful for the participants, other participants to reach you. Yes, because the meeting has scheduled only up to 6:50. That was 20 buffer time I had, and otherwise
I just had an extension.
Sorry?
I just had an extension to the question I asked earlier about how to.
Actually, we are going to close the session.
You can mail me.
Because the meeting was scheduled up to 6:50, so almost the notifications are coming on.
You can. I put my mail ID there. You can actually mail to me.
Yes. Please note down Anuja's mail ID in the chat box. Sorry, I don't know the name, only the number is there. Sorry, Vivin and Shivam. Please connect with her by mail. And thank you so much, Anuja. It was an excellent session, and you had given a complete roadmap for startups. And I'm very happy that many participants are very much eager to ask questions, and you answered everything very, very patiently. And some of the few points you have suggested during and during your session I was very impressed with one quote, that is how did you converted the flaws into strength. So that is a great takeaway for all the startups. And how to.
I personally believe that pain should not be a struggle. Instead, make pain your power. Miracle happens.
Exactly. I believe the same. And how to form a team with the diverse disciplines. I think this was a greatest takeaway. And whatever the students and whatever the startups here asked, you replied them with real answers that would be helpful for them the most. And thank you so much for your time and sharing your knowledge and expertise with all the people here. And some feedbacks are also here. I will post you by mail, all the feedbacks, or by WhatsApp. Definitely. Thank you everyone for participating here. And once again, I want to thank our director, Bhaskar Perumal sir, for always being supportful and always leading the chapter very well. And thank you, Anuja, for your wonderful time. Even the session is going, it's keep on going out of time, and still I'm very happy for that. And I thank
Thank you,
Abhinesh.
Sharmila. Thank you for inviting, and thank you, Bhaskar sir. And see, we believe that the entrepreneur clan should actually rise. We should increase it because they are necessity to this society for the economic growth of the country. So, and one more thing, I personally do this because I know the pain when I failed. I really don't want people to take wrong paths. So whatever known to me, my expertise, my experience, I'm just sharing that, nothing else. So it's again a pleasure to do that, to see more entrepreneurs rise, to see people, creating ideas, ideations. It's something very good to know, and it gives a good feeling.
Thank you, Anuja. And again, I thank Abhinesh Sharma from KIT University, SG Chapter Co-Director. Thank you, Abhinesh. You
Thank
want
you
to
for
add
having me.
few words
It
for
was.
a second? Can you?
Thank you very much. I was really glad to be a part of this event, and plus I was able to learn a lot of things about startup as well. As you can see, like I have already tried starting up twice before, but I failed. So this was a really great session for me personally.
Don't worry,
Thank you very
Abhinesh. Failure is always a stepping stone for success. Definitely, one day you will succeed. You just need to have that vigor.
Thank you very much
And
for the
also, I
encouraging word.
thank you, Abhi. Thank you for making it happen. And many students from your universities have joined. Thank you for so much for that. And I thank SG Jammu chapter, Rishita, for collaborating the event. Thank you so much. Thank you, Anuja. Thanks all participants again. So we are closing the session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Have a good